島県出身ヘイリーこと福崎春音さんによる平和を生きる私たちです。それではヘイリー、よろしくお願いいたします。
こんにちは。
こんにちは。
ヘイリーこと福崎春音です。本日は皆さん大変お忙しい中、全国各地からお越しいただきありがとうございます。いよいよ最後のスピーチとなります。皆さん51期生の集大成いかがでしたか？楽しんでいただけましたか？ありがとうございます。私にとって IBS での日々は驚き、桃の木、51期ということで驚きだらけでした。初めは何を言っているのか全く分からなかったペリーとブランドンのオールイングリッシュクラス。今では授業が楽しめるようになりました。 Thank you, Brandon and Perry。 そして IBS での日々を全てが初めての経験でした。その中で私は机の上で知識をつけることだけが勉強ではないということに気づきました。仲間とぶつかり合い助け合いながら過ごした日々、たくさんの困難はありましたが、そのおかげで私たちは成長できたと思います。院長室でお菓子を食べながらみんなと語り合った日々、そんな日々が終わってしまうと思うと少し寂しいですが、私はここ IBS で広い世界を見ました。そして無限大の可能性に気づきました。そう、私たちはやろうと思えば何にだってなれるんです。こんなに広い世界を見せてくれた IBS に感謝しています。ところで今こんなに平和に思える日本ですが、かつて平和な日本を作ろうと命を懸けて戦ってくれた戦友がいました。特攻隊です。彼らの犠牲の上に今の私たちの生活がある。その上で私たちは彼らが何を思い飛び立ったのか、彼らが未来に何を託したのか知らなければいけないんです。なので今日私のスピーチを通して彼らの思い、平和について考えていただけたら嬉しいです。Recently in Japan, there have been many complaints about taxes and politics. When we open social media, we often see people who are no longer proud of Japan and who criticize the country. We can also see a decreasing interest in tradition, Japanese culture, and Japanese spirit. I believe that we are gradually drifting away from our pride, our care of one another, and the spirit of living with strength and quiet dignity. Can we not truly say I love Japan with pride? Do we really hold pride as Japanese people? In the past, there are young people who are willing to give their lives to protect their families and their country. In the final stage of the World War II in the Pacific, as Japan's resources were depleted and the war situation grew increasingly disparate, the country adopted its final measure: special attack units, pilots who bombarded aircraft directly into enemy ships. It was quite literally an attack in which they offered their lives. In English, these attacks are known as kamikaze or suicide attacks. First such mission took place on October 25th, 1944, during the Battle of Leyte Gulf in the Philippines. These attacks continued until the final stage of the war, including the Battle of Okinawa. Out of a total of 136 deaths, 439, nearly half took off from Chirang Air Base here in Kagoshima. Young men from all over Japan came to this place to their final mission. They departed into the sky carrying with them their hopes for Japan's future and the peace of their loved ones. We must never forget the words they left behind. Wakamatsu Fujio wrote these letters for his mother. at the age of 19. "母様、今何も言うことはありません。最後の、そして最初の高校に笑っていきます。泣かずによくやったと仏前に団子でも備えてください。人形は藤尾だと思ってください。母様、藤尾は笑っていきます。元気で、さようなら。」藤井はじめ、29 years old, major in the Imperial Japanese Army, served as a Kumagaya Army Flight School, training young pilot cadets. When kamikaze operation began, many of his former students were sent on suicide missions, and he repeatedly volunteered to join them, but his requests were denied because of his age and family. Surprisingly, his wife entered a river carrying her 1-year-old daughter on her back, while holding the hands of her 3-year-old daughter, tying their hands together with a cord. The bodies of three were later found in the Yaraka River. When Fuji received that news, he collapsed before them. In the freezing winter wind, letting out a low cry. As if to hide his tears, he gently brushed the sand from their bodies with his own hands. In her final letter, she wrote, "If we were to remain, we would become burden to you and prevent you from fulfilling your duty. So we will go ahead and wait for you." Finally, permission was granted for the attack, and at the moment of his departure, he wrote these verses to his wife and his 2 young daughters. 冷たい風の吹く冬の日に、父は命を散らします。母と共に純国の地にもよる父の意志に沿って、一足先に殉じた幼い命が愛おしい。父も近くお前たちの後を追って生きることだろう。今度は温かい父の胸で抱いて寝かしてやる。それまで泣かずに待っていてください。父ちゃんは戦地で立派な手柄を立ててお土産にしてまいります。では、いちこちゃんもちえこちゃんもそれまで待っててね。Another officer, Hisano Masanobu, a lieutenant colonel, left these verses for his young son Masanori and daughter Kiyoko. 正則、清子へ。父は姿こそ見えないけれど、いつでもお前たちを見ている。よくお母さんの言いつけを守り、お母さんに心配をかけないようにしなさい。そして大きくなったら自分の好きな道を進み、立派な日本人になるのです。人のお父さんを羨んではいけません。正則と清子のお父さんは神様になって2人をじっと見守っています。From the letters of Wakamatsu Fujio, Fujii Hajime, and Lieutenant Colonel Hisano, we can feel strong determination to leave this world for the sake of those they loved, even though they knew their life would end the very next day. When I learned about these letters, I felt deep anxiety tightening in my chest. I asked myself, am I really living as a decent human being? What have I been thinking while living on the peace my ancestors died to protect? In that moment, sadness and shame overwhelmed me. I was afraid to face the weakness and coldness within myself. I believe the pain was the moment I first truly understood what it means to face the past. Once, there are people who gave their lives for this country and for their beloved families. Today, we are standing on the bottom of life. So I ask, are we really living in a way we can be proud of before them? Do we truly understand the meaning of the peace they died to create? Or have we ever even tried to understand it? Japan may appear peaceful, but there are many realities we have looked away from. China-related tensions, a possible Taiwan crisis, nuclear weapons, self-defense forces. Even so, we have comforted ourselves with the words, Japan is peaceful. And we have failed to look at the true nature of peace. I believe this is a weakness and carelessness of our generation. What we must now is the question itself. What is peace? Not an answer decided by someone else, but what peace meant to those who gave their lives for it. And what peace should mean for us today. To keep asking the question is a new responsibility that only we, the younger generation, can carry. We are living on the sacrifices of those who came before us. That's why we must choose how to pass the future on. Remembering their sacrifice and holding the value of peace and life in our hearts. Is this not the mission entrusted to us who live today? Strong, quiet, and steady. Let's live again from today on as Japanese. Thank you for listening.
ありがとうございました。Could you please give us some comments?
Thank you, Hailey, for a very emotional speech. I disagree with you on a few things here, and the perspective I'm coming, you may think, is as an American, but it's actually not. It's actually as my beliefs as a humanist more than anything. One thing about the criticism you see of the government and of taxes nowadays, I think that's actually a good thing. I think that in a free society, people need to criticize the government. They need to provide criticism. That's how we hold the government accountable. James Baldwin was a famous American writer, and he once said, "I love America more than any other country. That's why I reserve the right to criticize her relentlessly." And this is the idea that loving your country doesn't mean being quiet about your country. It means pushing your country to be better. I think about this as a parent. When my kids do something wrong and I tell them it's wrong, that doesn't mean I don't love them. In fact, the fact that I do love them is why I'm telling them something's wrong and why I'm pushing them to do better and be better. It's why in class I push you guys to do better, to push you more. It's not because I don't like you, it's the complete opposite. It's because I want you to be better and I see that potential in you. I've been to the Chidan Museum a few times myself, and it's incredibly powerful. It's incredibly moving. The quote you cited from the mother who killed her two daughters and then herself so that her husband doesn't have to worry about leaving them behind. I actually think that's a terrible story. I think those girls had no choice, right? And I think about my view of a state, of a country, is that a state is supposed to protect and defend its people. And I think when the state is demanding that the people sacrifice themselves to preserve the state, I think that's not the right priority. And I think about, when I look at those letters there, I think how many doctors, how many writers, how many teachers, how many artists, musicians, fathers were sacrificed to prolong a war that did not need to go on as long as it did. So I look at it from that perspective. And I think that the lesson that we need to take is that we can't think of human life as being so expendable and so easy to be tossed away. Not every soldier that dies in war is dying for peace. You know, I look at the American soldiers who died in Vietnam or Iraq. They weren't fighting for democracy, they weren't fighting for freedom, they were fighting a war of aggression and profit that did not benefit anybody. And so I think it's important to keep these things in mind because it is so easy to exploit the memory of fallen soldiers for ill purposes. Have you seen Godzilla -1?
Is it a movie?
Yes, the most recent Godzilla movie.
No, I've never seen.
It's very good. I recommend you watch it. The entire story centers on a kamikaze pilot who would not go through with his mission and what he goes through. And it's an incredibly powerful movie. And I think it'll really kind of open your eyes. Also, The Wind Rises, the Ghibli film, Kaze Tachini. I recommend watching that as well. It's also very powerful. And I think it will give you a different perspective on this. So I hope you'll consider that alternate perspective as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
学院長コメントをお願いいたします。
その時代に来て考えるのと今考えるのとでは全然違うと思うんですね、いろんな考え方ね。だからやっぱり今ほとんど外の世界から見るとなんてバカな日本人だと、なんでまだ旦那が死んでないのに気楽にもう何も心配しないで戦争に行けるように子供たちが死ぬのと、これバカじゃないって狂ってるんじゃんと、もうおそらく 100% の外の人たちは思うと思うんですね。これ言葉に表して説明するっていうのはできないことだと思うんですよ。でもそのさらに奥の深いところを見ると、だからこれが日本と他の国と違うところだと思うんですね。そこをもっともっと研究して、そしてそれに説得力があるのかないのかをまたやっていくと、また面白いいろんな歴史の検証になると思うんですね。ただ一つだけ言えるのは、僕らはご先祖様によって生きてるから、今突然ここに現れてるわけではなくて、だから亡くなっていた人たちを僕らは全部神様になると言いますよね。死んだら全部仏になると言いますよね。こういう考えないんですね。一つの宗教しかない世界にはね。だからそういう意味では神様になった人たちは見守ってるから、だからその見守ってる神様に感謝するという気持ちは僕ら持たなきゃいけないから、よく僕は言うように、ご先祖様はやっぱり敬った方がいいですよと。もうお墓に誰もお墓参りに行かなくても、もうみんな子供たちに迷惑をかけたくないと思っても、そのお墓が草まみれの藪になってもそこにご先祖は眠ってるんだという、そういう意識っていうのは僕は大切だなと思うんですね。だからある意味では靖国神社いろんなところに本当はみんな行ってほしいなと思いますね。ここは非常に微妙なところで、おそらく外の世界には理解できないそういうものがあると思います。それは僕の個人的な考え方ですけどね。でもいいスピーチでした。よくここまでまとめ上げました。ありがとうございます。